we hired. And we've got two big partners that came in, but I wanted to reserve Jim to have 10% available to people that were stuck with us through some pretty lean times as far as success. Now we've got that, so
to go back in with through Bill and zoom in on some past plays, and I looked to see who drilled my Geronimo prospect. I figured somebody picked it up and drilled it. Nobody did. Now here's the good news, that better news. I'm kind of glad it never got drilled, not only for us now, but also from a technical viewpoint. Because back in the mid-1990s, in the data confirmed the overall structure, the industry, the seismic industry, didn't have the technology it has now, which now even includes AI processing, machine learning. And that's when I brought in Deborah Sacre, who is now the president of the AAPG, American Association of Petroleum Geologists, who's been working with machine learning and AI. Actually, she wrote the book on it with Geophysical Insights, and one of the service companies. And she's been employing this routinely for years and has racked up at, like she tells me now, 86, 87% success rate using her software. Well, what's so magic about her software? All right, when you look at seismic data and you work it conventionally like I have, you can see the structure. You maybe see some hydrocarbon indicators, flat spots, and bright spots. What her software is capable of doing is they focus on 65 different attributes, most of which we can't see with our eyes. It's frequency and the spectrum and amplitude. And she's been able to calibrate with her software what hydrocarbon pay truly looks like in the subsurface, right? And it's fine-tuned to the point where she can actually map in 3D the geobodies of the individual pay sands. She can tell me how thick it is with plus or minus 10% accuracy, if it has hydrocarbons, if it has porosity. Now, she can't tell me it's got 30% porosity rock or 10%. I mean, that's still a risk till you drill a well. Now, once a well's been drilled, and she knows the exact porosity within specific zones, she can go back and recalibrate all the geobodies she's used. So to make a long story short, we employed her. And she'll also, if she doesn't see anything there, she told me, Tony, I could kill your prospect. I said, well, Deb, these are $10 million wells. It's money well spent. I want to know, where on this block's the best sweet spot to drill and what do we have out here? So to make a long story short, and I'll show you a lot of her detail, but, to show it all would take all morning long. But she said, yeah, Tony, you have multiple stack pays in the uppermost Wilcox section. And the deeper, we originally were thinking of drilling the lower part of the Wilcox. And she said, don't do it. I don't see thick sands. I don't see good, strong hydrocarbon pays. I see it all in the uppermost. So originally UPR was going to drill a 18,000 foot directional well out here. And after Deb's work and we also did some more AVO work on this, we realized we only have to go to 13,000, which is significantly cheaper. Also, there's less chance of having high CO2 and inner constituents within the gas stream. So we're very excited about that. Okay. Regionally, where are we? If you threw a dart, you'd hit the center of Duval County. The reds here are all the major producing fields that have been discovered since the 1940s. So we're a little down dip and a little bit down dip from these major fields. But there's where it sits on this Western 3D that we reprocessed with Western Geophysical to not only reconfirm the prospect, but look at the detail of the rock in more detail. We've got two closures, an east closure and a west closure. The east closure can pushing toward 2,000 acres in size. The west closure is about 1,000. To drill the east, we were talking about doing a high angle directional well, 43 degrees. And then the west would just require a vertical test. So we've kind of decided, let's take the need to drill a directional well up a fault plane out of the equation on our first well and be safe and just drill a vertical well on the west block first. Also, the thick sand should be thicker, and the deepest, most objective on the west block, I'll show you, matches a well that made over 35 BCF 9 miles to the west. Key thing here, we've got two big interstate pipelines very close to our two locations. I call the east location and west. We drill the west. We can have immediate hookup. We've got under lease 4,320 net acres on this block, and this is in the brochure you should have received this morning. Surface area, this is all just open range, no issues here. I think you can even see the two pipe. Well, I think that this is one of the pipelines for sure, and one here. So no issues that we know of yet on the surface to hamper us. Quick hookup. Here's our acreage position here in Duval County. All the various leases. I don't know if Tim's on the line, he might not be, but we've got 3 to 5 year term leases with kickers. We have eaten up, what, 1.5 years, almost 2 years on the earliest lease, but we're not concerned about anything expiring before we start to drill this puppy out. All right, let's go look at the subsurface map. All right, Tony, you say this is so big. Well, this is our 30 square mile 3D, and at top of the Wilcox, what you're seeing is like a paleotopographic map in the subsurface. And you could see this elongated big feature on the east and one on the west. That's the east and west closure. We stripped off the faulting here. That's between the two. But anyway, again, 6 miles long, 2 miles wide. And it happens to match the subaerial extent of one of the largest fields, Wilcox Fields of the Gulf Coast, which is northeast Thompsonville. Of course, here's a geologic column that will show you that we're 100% sure our reflectors on our seismic tie the Hinnett sands that are the major producing half of the major producing sands in the whole trend. There's a deeper section called the House Sands, which was the original target for this play, but with Deb's work, where we could come up and hit, we think, up to 8 individual sand packages within the Hinnett sands on this mega structure. There's our analog field, northeast Thompsonville field, which is about 28 miles southwest. This field, it got individual wells here, like this #1 hole beam, and it's already made 44 BC of gas from just the first Hinnett sands. And throughout this field, there's over 5 Hinnett sands that are productive. So you got a look-alike. Now this is one major regional fault block up dip, but still in it, it's maybe 1,000 foot shallower than our objectives, but it's terrific to see a direct analog like that. And there's others.
700 BCF, guys.
Yeah.
But think about that. Okay.
Yeah. All right, jumping right into how does our closures look, and what's the size start of this feature. Jumping in on the east block first. When I just map the subsurface and you take a conservative gas water contact, there's 1,500 acres of closure at probably the Hinnett 3 sand. If we had 50 feet of pay in that one sand, that will expose 150 BCF of reserves on multiple locations. And here's an arb line, a east-west arb line, actually going through the two fault blocks in the Wilcox section. And you could see, or you could drill a directional well and thread the needle through these 8 pays on the upthrown block. And our drill, just a vertical on the west closure, hit that big pay sand that produces the nearest field to the west, and still get 5 other pays vertically above it. So right now, that's the game plan. The vertical test would be about 13,300 feet. Okay, here's where we compare the conventional processing out there that we did with Tricon and Deborah's work with her AI software, where she's able to take her 64 neurons or attributes and she's, she's got PowerPoints a mile long on this, but she can, and we could bring her in, or you could have her discuss this in more technical detail. But in a nutshell, everything circled yellow. I need to put yellow here, but these yellows intervals are the pace she's seeing in the Hinnett sands. They're yellow here, yellow here, yellow here, yellow here, yellow here. So we've got them on both sides of this mega closure. The other thing we're seeing in actually all these pay sands is what we call conformance to structure. Well, what does that mean? Your strongest hydrocarbon anomalies are situated where you expect them, right up against the traps here, which are fault traps. In other words, you're seeing an increase in amplitude, like a bright spot. And when you planimeter it right against the, I'll jump here, you planimeter it against the subsurface structure, it matches almost identical. There's some stratigraphy going on here. Keep in mind, these aren't sheet sands, they're deltaic sands, so there's some stratigraphy going on here. You'll have channels that are coalescing and everything. But hey, here's the UW4. You're seeing this one sand that will capture on this fault closure should yield just this one sand with 30 foot of pay, 8 BCF of reserves. So we're seeing the key things any major company wants to see pre-drill. And again, she calibrated her work. I gave her what's the reservoir parameters are typical of the up-dip fields, the porosity and the permeability. And she used that and calculated acre feet in her geobodies. This is the cool thing, where she's able to see the actual geobody of each individual reservoir. So she's able to pick out what we couldn't see 20 years ago. We could see the structure, we could see a little bit of bright spots, but now she's actually measuring each individual geobody within the pay section before we drill. It's like an MRI of the earth, but the detail is so much better. Well, what does this mean to us? Well, 20 years ago, had we drilled a well, I'm sure we would have captured 1 or 2 of these pays, but with her ability to actually see the geobodies and where they're stacking most optimally, now we got a chance on the first 2 wells, one to see 8 pays stacked and one to see 6 pays stacked. And all of a sudden, when you add them up, we're getting the type of recoveries per well that we're seeing in the mega fields to the north. The best wells, 30 BCF, 40 BCF, average 20 BCF, because we're eliminating already the poorer wells. I hate to say 10 BCF, Bill, is a poor well here, but in fact, it could very well be. Well, not that we won't drill 10 BCF wells, but we'll drill 10, 20, 30 BCF wells all day long. So that's what do some of these other fields look like? Here's Destino field. This is 10 miles northwest. Here's a field that has 1, 2, 3. It's got about 5 pays in the Hinnett sand section. The excellent rock quality for this area, as well. It has sonic porosity of 30%. That would translate back to about 26%. In this field, there's a big pay in this well, deeper. So I haven't even come up to test this sand. But, the sand's fully loaded. It had great shell. They drilled it with 15.5 pound mud weight. We'll be drilling ours with close to 16.5. We'll have higher pressures. But this is a great example of pay in a nearby field. And, we got a seismic arb line that ties into this field directly. And Destino field is sitting right here. has that pay I just showed you in this fault block. This is a northwest southeast regional line, and it's got pay deeper, but they haven't come up and even tested that sand here. Well, follow these reflectors, like I said, down dip, and boom, you see this huge structure to the south, south and southeast. That's our Geronimo play that we've got 4,300 net acres leased on it already in our planned test. So you can see.
It's 1,000 feet.
Go ahead.
That's 1,000. How many feet?
Well,
elevation?
there's 2,000 feet of relief in the east block and close at 1,000 feet in that block. And there's actually a couple other blocks sitting out there too that's in our AMI. And get ready for it, Bill. If we make this discovery, guess who's going to go after those next two fault blocks if you don't? Just saying.
That's
Anyway.
like a mountain underneath the ground, guys. That's immense. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this could, I mean, I can't overestimate the fact that this is a world-class structure. And we've got 4,300 net acres. UPR put 6,500 acres because they were also, looking at future development, even in the flag fault blocks, which is what this offers. But the juiciest wells in these fields are always at or near the structural crest. And that's what we've got under lease now, the structural crest. Oh, I mentioned an example of the Hinnett sand pay. This is the Hinnett 7 sand. UPR called it the UW17, the Grue sand. But anyway, it correlates directly to the deepmost objective in our west location, our vertical test. And this well made 34 BCF. And these type wells can flow 20, 25, 30 million a day. Great rock, great rock. In fact, here's what the west closure looks like. And Deb's highlighted the 4 best zones, 1, 2, 3, 4. We also will have a shot at, I'll talk about it in a minute, the Queen City vertically above it. Looks prospective also. So we've got a location picked, and just in these 4 zones alone, she's saying we've got a really good shot at 20 BCF of reserves.
Lights up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because of her tuning with all those variables and her past history of success. Every time it's machine learning. So every time she's hit a field and recalibrates it, she'll pick up another couple of neurons that will high grade it for her next job. That's why she's become so successful. But again, how big is this on the west side? Here's a time structure map. We're going to drill a very beautiful high side closure, 3-side closure. Again, here's the amplitudes on the section of the dip line, and this is how it looks on the strike line. This is that UW17 interval. Again, that made in one well, the next analog field to the northwest made 30 BCF. It's also called the R sand and Rosita field, which Bill had drilled back in 15 years ago, Bill, I think.
Yes, please. Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt, Tony. Jim, I sent you a text.
Oh, okay.
This has been a crazy week. And I have to leave for a meeting that was already set up before Jim had set this Zoom call up. All I want to say is congratulations for those of you in Paisano on the Russell discovery. It's going to be exciting to see just how big it'll be. And I hope that y'all will decide to participate at that level I talked about on Geronimo, because it is definitely a company maker. And Jim, I'm going to let you and Tony take it from here. I apologize.
All right. Well, thank you,
No
Bill.
problem, Bill. Have
Thanks,
a great
Bill.
weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Great weekend.
It's still a few hours away from me.
Yeah, going back into the detail a little bit on the west closure. This is really eye-boggling, but it's what we're seeing. The amplitude for that deepermost sand at 30 BCF potential sand.
Yeah.
it's covering over 813 net acres. You know, and you put reserves on that, that's where you get easily could put, if this hits, you got 2 or 3 PUDs developing a 60 BCF reservoir. So we're very excited about it. Not only is it just amplitude, but we did what's called AVO work, the standard hydrocarbon indicator work most of the industry, all of the industry uses. And this is some of the AVO on a strike line through this west closure, and you're seeing the strong indications of gas in place in these Hinnett sands. I just highlighted 2 of the sands, the UW2 and 17, but everything that's increasing in amplitude from left to right, and everything that's lighting up from here to there is showing a direct hydrocarbon signature. Again, this is exactly what the major companies love to see in the offshore realm and onshore, anywhere around the world. You know, a little more detail. Again, here's down, and this is the Hinnett second sand. Here's our west location. We're gonna see the UW2 sand. It's this nice thick reflection, also present in the east block. But you know, if we hit 40 feet of pay in there, just this closure down to spill point says we should have 53 BCF of gas recoverable. And you may not get all of that in one well, 658 acres. You know, you start to drill these on 160 or 320 spacing, but again, we've got a chance to get a world-class field here with stacked pays.
Let me interject something. So what Tony is showing here are the different levels of pay that you're going to hit on one well, and we're looking at each image and how much that reserve is calculating out to. These are like pancakes, one on top of the other on top of the other, and we're taking each slice and showing those slides. He's showing you these are slides showing you those slices or those intervals at that depth. So some people may not know that. I just thought I'd make sure I just kind of interject that to help people out a little bit. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to log this with all the stacked pays showing up. And again, Deborah's work, west closure, she's seeing a beautiful geobody here, mapped it in at the Hinnett second level. She even indicated where there might be a water contact, but up dip of that, she's showing this one sand should yield, based on our modeling, 8.7 BCF of gas. Then above it, we've got the Queen City formation, and through her work, she was seeing light up on her attributes a bar sand, offshore bar sand, the big one. It occupies 1,600 acres vertically above the deeper objective Wilcox sands. And this non-pipe, it's about 30 to 50 foot thick in that range. But if you had 35 feet of net pay on 1,600 acres, that's 50 BCF or so of gas above you that we could use as a shallow development program here. And these are the slides where she said, Tony, look what I'm seeing in the Queen City. The yellow are the sands lit up with their hydrocarbon indicators. And you know, this is laying vertically above us. There's one zone she thinks she's seeing some wet indicators. We got to be cautious about that. She said, you know, if we were to drill this block or just the Queen City, she'd go north of our deeper location and drill here. But, you know, one well here could expose 20 BCF of gross reserves, and you could drill these on 80 acres. So you can make a little nice shallow development gas field in these pods of sand all by themselves. So it's nice to have that upside potential. And, you know, this is the overall outline I used to show the 1,600 acre play up in the Queen City. And again, just like the deeper section, we have strong hydrocarbon anomalies isolated to that bar sand. And we actually have an off structure well within our 3D that shows this particular well just northeast of this bar sand in a down thrown position, it had 60 feet of net sand. This well was drilled like in the early 60s. They had no 3D. They might have drilled off some old 2D data. But anyway, there's the sand and there's the anomaly, and it's lit up like a light bulb vertically above our deeper play. Again, for the geophysicists here, we ran AVO on it also, and we're getting, which is a great hydrocarbon indicator. We're seeing what they call classic class 2 and 2P indicator in that same unit, sand unit. Okay, well, let's, from the technical standpoint, that's it. I think I go into the economics, and I don't know if you want to carry it from here, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, appreciate everybody hanging in there, because you have potentially quite a few different levels of pay zones, and they're all big. So we're trying to show there's a lot of more work and a lot more data that you guys could be deluged with that may or may not make that much difference. So this is just the highlights of it. But yeah, a huge part of this, putting this together, was the enormous amount of acreage and the enormous amount of geophysical work. I mean, over a year worth of geophysical work, I guess. I think what we got Deborah working on this. I don't know how many, maybe a year ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
she started October last year.
Okay, so there's more to drilling a well than just drilling the hole. You have to protect the acreage that you're drilling into. You hit a big well, you got to have the acreage to protect yourself so no one can come in and start drilling what you found. So we got, we have 4,263 acres. We've got it pretty much all. So no one can take it from us. No one's going to slide in and pull a fast one. So a huge part of putting this field development, not just one well, a field development together, was the cost and the man hours and the years of work that went into the acreage, and the months, maybe over a year, of the seismic that was done. Well, why is this important to understand with regards to the Russell 8S? Well, we had Deborah look at the Russell 8S and say, well, see what you can see there. And she did, and she worked it, and Tony worked his, and their new discovery that we found on the Russell, I think that shallower zone. Tony, I saw that email that you sent to say, hey, take a look at this. I think that was back in April, and we hit that zone. That's that shallower zone on the Russell. So the point being is the technology that you're looking at here, we used on the Russell, and it worked. Now you've got something that is massive in size, and once again, a field development of immense proportions. 300 BCF is actually one of the smaller fields that we have out here. If you want to know what that is in gross dollars, 300 BCF at $3 per thousand cubic feet is $900 million. $3 gas gross. Would you like to own a part of that? And so obviously a big part of the cost is the acreage and the seismic, but once that is paid for, it's going to be pretty smooth sailing and pretty cheap. So Bill's coming in for a carry to the tanks on the first well for an eighth. He's going to back in after payout on all subsequent wells after that. So I think our payout probably would change here, because I think we we put a quarter and it should actually be an eighth, right, Tony, on the other subsequent wells. So I think your payout on the subsequent wells would be faster than 12.8 months, but
Oh, yeah, well,
be like
yeah,
that.
and the way I look at it too, and I think this is gonna happen. You know, you go back to the last time gas was stuck at $2 an MCF, it was followed by 6 to 7 years of gas prices averaging $6 to $8. And here's where we are right now. And we got LNG exports increasing. You know, of course, weather is a factor. There's a lot of things, but I truly don't believe we're going to be stuck at $2, $3 gas for the next 7 years. If we start to develop this field and we start getting into just $4 gas, the economics improve immeasurably. And that's really the game plan here, is you're not just buying one well and how quick is it going to pay out at today's prices. At least that's how I look at it. I was trained at Tenneco to find major exploration prospects that have high impact to companies. And Tenneco wanted at the time to become a major. And we had a lot of success in the years I was there and subsequent companies I worked for. So to me, this is a dream come true personally, that, you know, we could wrestle down a world-class gas field here in the United States.
6 miles long and 2 miles wide. So, basically, it's $125,000 per 1% for drilling and testing acreage and GNG. The completion would be later. I believe that would be around another about 30,000 per point for completion. And I think that's what you say, the CNC that you had here. I think your payout for other wells at this would be faster than 12.8 months. But like you said, let me ask you a question, Tony. Some of these wells, if you have a 28% porosity on one of these wells, can't you get like a 20 or 25 million cubic foot per day gas well?
I've seen, I think you can get 40 million.
You get 40. Okay. So here, you know, this is the big brother, if you will, to what we're working on Paisano by tenfold. It could be. So when you're talking about flow rates of 10, 20 million a day, you know, the price of gas can be 2 or 250, and you're gonna do well. Or you can sit there and you can do reservoir control and just throttle it up or throttle it down. Either way, you have an asset that you found that could be worth over $500 million. That's what we're going for here. So
yeah. Let me say too that, you know, this play has been technically vetted by a number of companies. We've got 90% of it placed. And even the companies that declined, the only reason they declined was it was just a little too steep for their britches. But not one company turned this down due to the technical work behind it.
So yeah, this is an amazing opportunity that I have personally been looking forward to showing everybody for the last 2.5 years, and here it is. Tony's been waiting for a couple of decades. So I'm sure he feels pretty good, but you know, this is something that you don't see very often, and the brain power that has gone into this. I mean, we could go into all the stuff that Deborah Zachary does on her how she calculates her stuff out. Look at her website. Look at her bio.
Well, let me interject.
Yeah.
She actually gave a presentation to Ryder and Scott yesterday. Ryder and Scott is the premier reservoir engineering firm out of Houston, used by all the majors to they have to do the work that tells Wall Street what the reserves are worth, future reserves. And they were astonished, she told me, when they saw how accurate this AI processing is, where they can now use the seismic data on existing companies' fields, run it through there and calibrate it with a much higher degree of accuracy as to how much oil or gas is in the ground in that particular reservoir. And so they are just ecstatic, and they are going to employ her software throughout their organization.
So that's cutting edge. She was using AI before anybody was even thinking about it. So a pretty amazing person.
Yeah, we're lucky and blessed to have her on
We're
board.
very blessed to have her with us, and part of that is the outcome and the success of the Russell well, and because of that, these two things, these two line up for the same reason, which is having information that gives you knowledge that gives you that success. The innovation and that technology and oil and gas is what makes things work now. So, and this is a part of that. So that's why we've invited people that are not in the Russell 8S to look at this and see, there's a reason why it's important for you to understand what we just hit there, because this could be something similar to that, but much bigger. Anyway, that's really about it. You've got you have an opportunity here for a field development that is immense. 6 miles by 2 miles wide. That's a pretty good size, I'd say. And so I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to offer this to everybody, and hopefully everybody that can and feel good about getting involved does so. And keep our fingers crossed we make a good well, and imagine what could happen after this, because your cost to drill is going to, your acreage cost and your geology cost are going to drop off, and it's just your cost to drill the well. So that's your economics become very, very favorable as well. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm leaving out here. There's so many other things that we could have talked about here as far as technically, but we no need to do that. We just it's important that everybody understands the magnitude of what this could be. So anybody has any questions to Tony or myself on this?
Well, Fred was asking probably earlier, about seeing the results of Deborah's software. I hope we answered that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Akron's pretty happy with that too.
Oh, very happy. Yeah.
That looks like you did. I saw your slides on it.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I certainly am available anytime if you, and if need be, we can, she's hard to get a hold of running the APG, but we can include Deborah if you want to do even a deeper dive with her technical work as well as mine. So don't hesitate to call or ask. Timing wise, Bill's not here now, but we were thinking making a 3-well package to drill. And the reason is if we can offer the drillers 3 consecutive wells in a row,